You know, it's kind of surprising lately how much Tomb Raider has been going on the channel, especially when there's not really much of a good reason to. I mean, other than the fact that, yeah, we here at the Brotherhood of Gaming are definitely big fans of the Tomb Raider franchise, it just seemed kind of out of the blue how all of a sudden Lara Croft became such a primary focus. And of course, now that we just got a PlayStation 4 with its entire library of games now being at our access, it went a step further with us being able to get her newest adventure, which was Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris. So, all things considered, it seemed like the perfect thing to do. Now, quite some years back, Crystal Dynamics, you know, the predominant company that makes Tomb Raider games these days, made a game very similar to this one quite a few years back, which most of you, if you've been watching us for a long time, might remember as being our second playthrough that Gene and I ever did on the Brotherhood of Gaming show. Not the best watch ever, but that's just how it went. So, Temple of Osiris pretty much follows the same example that Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light did back on the PlayStation 3. This one here is technically more of the same thing, but it has a few more features which make it worth talking about, and of course, in this review, I mean, who better, right?
I guess one of the best comparisons I could make is to compare it to the LEGO games. You have a simple objective, which, well, depending on how many players you have with you, usually up to 4, can either make the game less simple or more of a brain-busting chore. You have to work together, completing puzzles and levels to obtain pieces of Osiris because, well, the Egyptian god deity from the last revelation, known as Set, is back and, well, with a vengeance.
Now, I'm willing to bet you can all take an immediate guess as to what Set plans to do. I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? He would want to take over the world.
Of course!
Well, the truth is, he actually kind of really wants to blanket the world in eternal darkness because, well, let's face it, Set's kind of an asshole like that.
Like Guardian of Light, the game is, instead of taking advantage of the PlayStation 4's graphical capabilities, it's using these still shots, which I honestly really grew not to care for. I remember these being prominent in the PSP when I saw Metal Gear, Star Wars Battlefront, and a few others doing it. Even Sonic on the Wii had a similar style. I don't know if they were trying to be artsy or creative with paintings, but to me it just came off as lazy and just really unappealing. I mean, don't get me wrong, I can appreciate good artwork and still shots of characters, but when they are used as placeholders instead of creating a cutscene or an animation, I'm just not okay with it. Even Bayonetta 2 tried to do something similar, but at least it had more of an actual cutscene to go with it. So I didn't mind it there as much, even though it still was out of place.
Now, because of what I said earlier about me claiming that these games are very similar to LEGO games, you're probably thinking I had to have dropped some acid because I'm not making any sense at all with that claim. But no, I do actually have legitimate reasons.
You see, while the story mode itself isn't technically the long part of the game, it's all about the side quests and the massive exploration. Once the story is over and done with, you retain access to all of the previous areas, which you can further explore for items and treasures and bonus challenges you missed or couldn't get previously. This game certainly has a ton of busy work to be done after the game is done, so if you're a completionist, you have a hell of a lot to do. If you don't care about any of that stuff and you just came for the story, well then your adventure is pretty much over until the DLC comes out. Now, if you're playing this with a friend, the skills you would normally have in single player get spread between players, forcing you guys to work together to get through relatively simple puzzles, to figure out, with the exception of maybe a few, that force you to really think things through. But overall, the difficulty of these puzzles is nowhere near as intelligent as previous entries in the Lara Croft series. I mean, not to discredit the game, really, but it's more of a party game first, and meant to be enjoyed as such. Even on single player, it can be fun, but not too long after, you're gonna start longing for more interaction. The character movement and direction of aiming weapons, and of course the overpowered bombs, are here straight from the Guardian of Light, and of course they do the job better than most of your weapons do, so if you're pretty good at dodge rolling and setting the bombs, well, most if not every fight in this game is pretty much going to be a breeze. The bombs are pretty much the OP weapon of this game. At the end of the day, there's just really not much to say about Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris. It's just very simple. I mean, it's not a bad game, really, especially for the budget title that it is, and it is available for $20 online. I mean, with that knowledge alone, you should already have a simple expectation in mind. While the story is mediocre at best, with the conflict being resolved in literally mere hours of in-game time, it's hard to really get invested in the small plot that it's trying to tell.
It really only serves to continue the adventures of Lara Croft, which ultimately I can't say is a bad thing, but at the same time it's just, you know, I kind of wish that we had some more exciting adventures to go on instead of, well, what we got here. That being said, I'm going to give Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris a 6.5 out of 10.
It's fair, but I would highly recommend playing this game with friends, as the adventure by itself just feels kind of empty, and it really demands the help from the others to make the game's appeal last longer, especially if you're going to go through all of the side quests for the hidden treasures to level up your characters. I mean, coming from a die-hard Tomb Raider nerd, you can really trust me when I say that there is some enjoyment to be had here, but it's basically an appetizer for a much bigger game that hopefully we'll see soon in the future.
And, well, hey guys, that's how it pretty much goes. I'm sorry if there's any people out there that like this particular style of game, and to be fair, it's not terrible. It's just not particularly what I expect out of a Tomb Raider game or an adventure from Lara Croft. Well, guys, you've been watching the Brotherhood of Gaming video game show. Feel free to subscribe to the show to follow us and contribute with your wonderful comments, and all you loyal followers out there. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook, which the links are always in the description. And also, once again, special shout out to the patrons who have donated to our Patreon. You guys are awesome for keeping the show going and supporting it with your money, which, again, we're not begging you for. It's all of your own free will, and it's nice of you to throw it away on us. Anyway, guys, you keep on gaming, and we'll see you in the next time, which will be the next review. Obviously.